Steve King, Republican from Iowa, member of the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, thank you for joining us. Am I right in assuming that you are here today to apologize for connecting our national security to a political fight with President Obama?
No, that wouldn't be correct, Chris. I'm here to talk to you about the strategy that's been going on here as the president has violated the Constitution, conducted himself in a lawless fashion, decided he would eliminate laws that were written by Congress and signed by a previous president, make up his own laws, go to Chicago and give a speech and say, I changed the law. You know, our founding fathers expected, and in fact, I believe history commands us to keep our oath to support and defend the Constitution, especially when the president violates his, Chris.
Congressman, even if you are 100% right about all of those points, why tie stopping those orders to potentially the most vital agency that we have, especially now when you have James Comey, the FBI director, saying he's got active cases in all 50 states? Why mess with the national security?
Well, I wanted to use the entire omnibus bill as leverage and bring this whole thing together and have it finished back December 11th. That was my strategy. I didn't get my strategy, so I supported the leadership strategy. But when you look at the Department of Homeland Security, at least 85% of it are essential services, which means whether or not the funding runs out, the essential services will continue. Border Patrol, Custom Border Protection, ICE, among them. And so if you remember, there was a real government shutdown a year and a half ago for 17 days in October of 2013. Right. I don't remember that ever being an issue back then. So if it didn't make a blip on the radar then, I don't think it does now.
Oh, but Congressman, it was an issue. That's why your party got beaten up about that shutdown back then, because it was seen as hurting the people for a failure for political compromise on your part. It seems like that's going to happen again. Members of your own party seem to recognize it. Let's play the bite from Congressman Peter King. He's on your team. Oh, it's full screen. We have an effective counter-narrative here, but the sheer volume we're losing, this isn't what I wanted. We want Peter King. King says you cannot mess with national security. It's a mistake. It's irresponsible. Do you agree with that?
Well, we're not messing with national security, but first of all, you know, I was happy to welcome 15 new Republicans into the House of Representatives after that event that seemed to hurt us so badly, and 9 new Republican senators over there on the other side.
You think
so
because
I don't think there was a political consequence
because
for
of
this.
It or despite it? You think it was because you shut the government down? Because you know what Mitch McConnell thinks. He said on his watch, no more shutdowns. And you know the polls, what they say, if we can put up the poll, you know who they say will be blamed if there's another kind of shutdown of that magnitude. They say Republicans will be blamed.
Chris,
big numbers.
Republicans, but however you want to talk about blame, Republicans didn't shut the government down. I voted time after time to fund all of the legitimate functions of government except Obamacare. That's our constitutional duty to do that. We take an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, and it doesn't say, unless you're afraid you'll be blamed or unless you think there's a political consequence, we have to do our duty. This is a constitutional crisis. The President of the United States has reached into the Constitution, taken it out, and ripped out the Article 1 of the Constitution, folded it in half, put it in his pocket, and said, I own this too. Congress can only ratify, if you choose, the things that he says ought to happen. He is acting like an emperor. This republic will look back on these days if we don't hold our ground and see the time that our republic was lost.
This is the point, though, Congressman. I am not debating or even pushing back on the immigration argument you're making and the executive orders, because it has nothing to do with funding DHS. You have your legal battle going. You had a good result with a judge. There are legitimate arguments to be made there. No question that there is a debate to be had. However, why tie it to having a 115% effort by DHS to deal with the all 50 states involving cases with ISIS radicalization, the arrest we just had in Brooklyn? You need all men and women, hands on deck 24/7. Why play with that for the furtherance of this other political battle?
Why is the president playing with it? Why is he putting this at risk?
You did this with the DHS bill, not the
Democrats
president.
in the Senate holding this up? It's the president that's throwing a political tantrum, demanding that he have the funding to violate the Constitution of the United States. A lot of the press and Democrats and some Republicans are trying to turn it back the other way because somehow they're afraid they will get blamed. I think stand on principle. If you're right on principle, maybe you get blamed now, but history will vindicate you over
Right, but
time.
this isn't just about money and time and furlough and people getting paid again. It's about the agency. I think you have to understand that DHS isn't just another agency, especially right now. I mean, literally, you guys are debating further statutory approval of war efforts against the people who you're now saying, well, we're okay, we cannot be at full strength to defend ourselves against it. Does that make sense?
Well, Chris, the president has ordered many of the people that you're talking about to be the welcome mat for illegal aliens. And I'll tell you, it wouldn't trouble me a lot if they would stop meeting people at the border and escorting them up to the station, giving them traveling papers and giving them transportation to fly, drive, or transport them to all of the 50 states. They are completing the crime by the lawlessness of the president that orders them to violate the law and complete the crime of illegal transport of people, illegal people into the United States. So I will tell you, there's a part of this we could get along without, the law-breaking part that's ordered on our noble people that defend our border. This is appalling. Our founding fathers would roll over in their graves to see that this is happening to the rule of law. And by the way, a lot of the people that came here illegally came here to leave a lawless nation, and they're seeing this lawlessness manifest itself in America now.
Representative?
And I would add that there are two lawsuits out there now. One of them is Crane versus Napolitano. I helped start that lawsuit back in 2011. And the other one, of course, is Texas versus U.S. that we're talking about more here today. Both of those lawsuits are being undermined by a Congress. If Congress funds the illegal acts that we're litigating on, then the court's going to look at that and conclude, like they did under Obamacare, we don't want to resolve a disagreement between the legislative and the executive branch of government. John Roberts threw Obamacare back in our lap, I think partly for that reason, and it undermines our cases if we don't stand on principle and refuse to fund this lawlessness.
I get the debate, but again, it seems that there's separate issues, and you don't want to compromise national security to win that other battle. At least I don't think you should want that. But thank you very much, Representative Steve King. Always good to have you on the show to lay out your side. Allison.